I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact focused on personal growth, my Knowledge Workbook series and Creative Healing course can help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about she said she doesn't want drama. Well, if you've been on the channel for a while, you may have heard us say over the years that where there's trauma, look for drama. And that is because when we are traumatized and hurt in our past, it's often coming out in the present in our romantic relationships. This is why I'm constantly telling you guys you have to do the work. If you don't do the work, all this time you're spending in no contact is not likely going to get you anywhere. Many of us are in situations where we've made mistakes, we've done things wrong, and we've turned people off. Nobody's perfect, okay? Even if you're in a situation where you were the healthier one, I'm sure there are things that you can learn and improve upon. And doing the work, working through your trauma, working through your past, and getting to a great place is by far the best thing that you can do in a breakup. Not only do we talk about it, and we've talked about it since day one, we're constantly putting out videos that explain how to do it and what to do. Many of you guys are only watching clickbait. You're wasting your time. You're not really learning, you're not really growing, and you're definitely not putting yourself in the best position to re-attract your ex. Stop watching this corny nonsense that preaches things like handwritten letters and good reminder texts and things of that nature. 30 days no contact. What is that really helping you do? What, you're going to try and manipulate that person back? And then what? The relationship didn't work for a reason. You got to think about why, what happened, what part did you play in that connection? You chose that person. A lot of you guys are just trashing your exes. Well, you're the one that picked them out, okay? So take some responsibility. I'm a big believer in taking responsibility and accountability in your life. When you do that, you will see a major shift. You will feel better. You will feel more confident. You'll stop blaming other people for how you feel and reacting to everybody and what they do in your life. So, we have over 2,000 videos on this channel and the other channel, Breakup Essentials. They'll change your life, okay? That's all free information that we spent years learning to give to you to help you change your life. Share our channel with friends and family, and it can help them change their life too. Now, the truth is they probably won't be receptive to that stuff or the stuff that we teach until they're going through a breakup, because many of us have to learn the hard way. So please, remember, you're learning the hard way right now. You're going through something very painful. Use that pain to motivate you to the best that you can. I know it's not going to be all sunshine and puppy dogs and rainbows. There's going to be a lot of difficult days. There's going to be days where you're overwhelmed by anxiety. You're going to see something going on with your ex, and it's going to feel awful. I've been there. Guys, please understand, I do this because I have been there. Okay, breakups were some of the most painful experiences I've been through in my life. They traumatized me when I was less than 2 years old that my parents got divorced. Both my parents were married 3 times each. So the reason that I'm so passionate about this and helping people is because I like to help people. I spent my entire career doing that, but I want to help people go through a breakup because I was going through breakups and thinking, what am I supposed to do? I was talking to everybody, anybody that I thought would help me. I was talking to strangers practically just to try and see if somebody knew about breakups. Surely somebody must know this stuff. Well, unfortunately, very few people gave good advice because In a breakup, we often have to do the thing that we don't want to do. But most people are barely getting by in their own relationships. So all those friends and family that you're going to for relationship advice, you better think about how their relationships are. Oh, they've been divorced 19 times. I'll trust them. I should do that handwritten letter. I love clean slate messages. Look, I want to help you guys through the most difficult time of your life, whether we do a coaching or not. But we're always trying to teach you new things. And drama is because of trauma, right? We're hurt. We're hurt about something that happened in the past. Somebody hurt us before. Many times when we were children, we couldn't even understand what was going on, right? Depending upon your age. And so because it's so painful, that pain comes back up. That's the trauma. It's coming back in the present. So you're going to see when there's drama in the relationships, it hurts the attraction. It hurts the connection. It weakens it. And the more the drama comes out, the more there's arguing, fighting, hurt feelings, lashing out, losing emotional self-control, the sooner you're going to break up, right? The volatility kills connection. That's why I'm telling you, please do the work. Do the knowledge every day. Do the creative healing course every day. After months of that, you're likely going to hear from your ex if you've left them alone. And you're going to be in a much better position to turn it around. Now, if you keep doing the work, and the course is huge, the workbooks cover 97 videos, volumes 1 through 10. And the creative healing course, I think, is even bigger than that. So do the work. Stop obsessing about where your ex is at and what they're doing, and you're going to see much better results. Today, I've got an email coaching that has quite a bit of drama. Okay, let's see how this unfolds, and you're going to see why this couple leads to a breakup. Now, I'm definitely not putting all the blame on the dumpy here. Like I said, nobody's perfect. Both people often make mistakes in relationships, and sometimes there are no easy answers, right? Sometimes it's a situation where there's no definitive right or wrong answer. So the guy in this situation is in his early 30s. The woman he was dating is in her early 50s. He said, our relationship lasted 2 years and 3 months. We met in the fall of 2022. We were engaged at one point, but I wasn't ready to get married only a year of being together. I wanted to give it more time. We were living together up until last December. We bought a house together. Our fighting and arguing kind of never got better. I wanted it to get better. I wanted her to communicate when something happened and when we misunderstood each other. A lot of that happened through our relationship. So what do you think it is from the beginning, right? Sounds already like the anxious avoidant trap is going to happen. There were a lot of good times too. But she wanted to not talk and have us both not say anything, or until she was ready. But I felt frustrated inside from not being able to say what was bothering me. Yes, she sounds avoidant, and he wants to get that stuff out. Now, sometimes we do have to talk about those things. Communication is important. But with anxious partners, it's often we can't soothe ourselves and be patient and say, okay, you know what? Maybe today's not a good day. They're looking tired. They're not feeling well. I'm going to wait for a time where we can talk about this, and it's more likely to go smooth. Many times I felt disrespected, like I was getting attitude, and I would react defensively. Okay, so she's sounding more and more avoidant here, right? But my reaction was only to blame and yelling with her kids around, which I didn't want either. She's been divorced 3 times. So I try to look at it like it's not only my fault. Probably a good assessment right there. I really like her 3 kids, and I love living with them. There were a few arguments in the winter that got me to have to go to my dad's place about 10 minutes away to give her space. We were still talking daily. One morning, I was there with them and woke up grouchy and negative, and this was my fault, and it started to get her arguing with me. Her oldest child stepped in and said, "So are you going to respect my mother's decision for you to leave?" And I was worked up and said, "Shut the F up." Okay, so just to put it in perspective, I think this one's a teenager, young teenager. So I've been at my dad's since. Obviously, you talk to somebody else's kids that way, and there's going to be major problems. That's not going to get swept under the rug. Okay? I really care about them a lot. There were stressing things I didn't like there also. So I wasn't always happy, but I still want to get a chance to be there for her and love her and her kids. Things were starting to turn around a little in the spring. We're intimate a few times while I was still living there, which I currently am. We were going to start going on dates, and I was going to give her child a sincere apology. When I was having a really bad day with losing my job and got a ticket. Uh-oh. When I let her know on a voice chat, she asked a question, and I sounded like I had an attitude, even though I didn't mean it. So I was trying to let her know it was just from a bad day and had nothing to do with her, and I felt she kept being argumentative with an attitude. It got to a point I was over-texting, which I shouldn't do, saying I do everything for her, which I shouldn't have said, and just wasn't being nice and respectful. I just wanted her on my side. I was very worked up, and I said she was pissing me off, so she blocked me on Facebook. Oof. A few days later, I texted her regular phone number, and she was upset. I hurt her, but I felt hurt and misunderstood as well, which I felt a lot in our communication when an argument happened. I could tell when I came over she said she likes it there without the drama, that she flipped a switch and acted like she didn't want me there. Well, I don't think she was acting. I wanted to talk to her about it and fix things, and ever since I tried to kiss her a few times and she said she was sick. Well, obviously that is not true. She just doesn't want to kiss you. I mean, there's a slight possibility. I mean, it's not unfeasible for somebody to be sick, but I don't think that's the reason. I said I needed her in my life and really cared for her in a text after that happened. I felt she started to get distant and had no emotions for me. It's been really hard to deal with. I texted a few times this week after apologizing and saying I didn't want her to hold it against me and I want to fix it. She said she feels better with her being there with her kids. Yeah, you see what I mean? That drama, the arguing, the fighting, it causes a huge disconnect, that ruptured connection. And that's so much of what we're trying to teach you guys is the skills so it doesn't happen. The emotional self-control so you don't lash out and tell somebody's child to shut the F up, right? So, unfortunately, even if you love somebody and you love those kids, it doesn't excuse that kind of behavior. I felt so hurt. I left her alone and didn't hardly text her at all. She would only text when she needed something like paying bills. Oof. Well, that's not good. And you don't want to be taken advantage of either. I don't know what your agreement was or something like that, but you don't want to just stick around only to hear for her to pay a bill either. She texted me out of nowhere in early June that my mom had texted her and said to tell your mom never text her again. Oof. That's big damage right there because, if she gets back with him, now she's got to apologize to the mom. But she must have been really angry. I'm going to block you and her because I don't want drama. This is why I say you don't want friends and family getting involved. Now, he did send me an email afterwards saying he didn't know the mom was getting involved. Mom did that on her own. But that tells us a little bit about mom, right? Mom probably has some anxiety meddling in her son's business, and now we probably see where he's getting some of this anxiety from. She said, no one knows my side, only yours. That sounds like a standard avoidant answer, by the way. They say things like that a lot. Not that it's not true, but they say things like that. Even though I explained that it's not like that. I know my mistakes, but she wants to make it harder by saying that. She also said, "Hope you're doing well and I want what's best for you." My response was, "Hey, I don't know what's going on, but if you want to block me, then block me. I didn't do anything and I don't know what you're talking about." Do you think this was a good response? Yeah, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't know your mom was getting involved. That was an authentic, sincere answer. I think it was fine. You weren't begging, you weren't pleading, you weren't trying to change her mind. Anyway, all my mom said was that it's a shame you have to be doing this to my son. Ooh, okay, now we know why she's mad. You're making it look like you're the victim here, and mom is making it look like, you're the victim and, oh, you're being so cruel to my son. That was definitely not the right angle for mom to go. If she's going to do anything, it's definitely not that. My mom was having an emotional day. You seeing a pattern here? Mom has an emotional day, makes excuses for it. He's having an emotional day, makes excuses for it. Now, I'm certainly not saying that she's not perfect here or that she didn't make mistakes, meaning the ex, but you see the pattern, right? This is what I'm talking about with accountability. This is the opposite of what I wanted because I still care for her and I've done a lot, so much. And she hardly has done near as much for me. If it wasn't for my dad, we wouldn't have gotten a place together. He financed the down payment. And it's crappy to do to me. Yes, I mean, I know that all of this has been very painful for you, but you did yell at her child and cursed her child. A lot of people wouldn't tolerate a situation like that. So, you did some mistakes here. This is not like you were an angel. And I could see that the stress of the whole situation was wearing on her. Me and my dad, who I live with, still can't believe it. Well, it's not terribly surprising. People get tired of arguing and fighting or feeling like the relationship isn't going well. It's been since early June that I've been in no contact. I've been blocked on everything. I love her littlest. They've come over several times before this. They love it here. I texted her oldest and I was trying to find out if I could talk to her, meaning the ex, because I've been wanting to be the guy for her and her kids. Leave the kids out of it. Leave the kids out of it. I know it's not easy, but you got to leave the kids out of it. Maybe you can have a relationship with the kids if you and her don't work out, but don't try to get them in the middle, is what I mean when I say that. Never got a message back about it, but they help by saying her mom can be difficult sometimes, and she's hard to please in relationships. Remember, she's been divorced 3 times. I texted a sincere apology to the child that I got into the argument with. I don't want to violate her boundaries and bring her flowers and say I want to see her, which I thought about doing. I'm afraid she'll be cold. Yes. Do not go to somebody's place, even if you want to bring flowers, even if you want to apologize like that. They find it intrusive and it freaks them out. So don't do that. I know we fantasize about it. Seems like a great idea, but then we do it and you wind up them telling you they're going to get a restraining order. We both were really into each other in the relationship, and she says she's never wanted anybody else and loves me more than the world early on. He puts that in parentheses. Yeah, early on, but what about now? Remember, feelings change. I just hope she starts to miss me and lets her guard down at some point and looks at the positive, like what I brought to the relationship, and would care for me enough. She said before that she knows I want a kid and marriage, and I can't give you those things. That's huge. We'll come back to that in a second. But I still want to work towards us being together, and all I care about is her and her kids. And if communication improved a lot, I would marry her. Give her space. let her reflect and think about how she was playing a part into this dynamic. She's not there yet. I could see that. She's still going to blame you and say, oh, it's peaceful here without you. She hasn't even got to the point where she's missing you yet. Yet you're desperately missing her. You need to take some time to reflect on who you are, how you're showing up in this relationship. It seems like you're losing emotional self-control, you're reactive, and you can't do that. It's hurting the attraction. Now, I'm not saying that this is all your fault. It's not. She's a big part of this. She's clearly avoidant. She shuts down easily. She has these high expectations, but then doesn't reciprocate. Whether or not you really want to be with her, that's what, you have to really take some time to reflect and think about. And I highly recommend you do that creative healing course, because there are literally thousands of questions that are going to give you a lot of clarity and a lot of balance in yourself, so you're not desperately wanting somebody back. You want kids. She already has several kids. She's saying she doesn't want more kids. Maybe this is your time to really think about if you want to be with somebody that doesn't want kids the way you do. And now that I'm thinking about it, she's in her early 50s, so maybe she can't even have kids. That's a possibility. Obviously, there's a lot of science at this point that can help. But yeah, she's considerably older than you are. Remember, he's in his early 30s. She's in her early 50s, to make it vague. It's pretty close to about 20 years, which isn't the end of the world. But especially when you're an adult like this, right? It makes a big difference between, 19 and 40, right? There's a big difference when somebody's grown up and matured and lived their life. But like I'm saying here, she's in her early 50s, so I don't even know if she could have kids, but, does she want to start that again? Because when you have a kid, it's like, and you've had kids before, you know what that means. You're sacrificing your freedom, you're sacrificing late nights, you're taking care of an infant, a baby. It's a tremendous amount of work, so you got to know what you're getting into. And she's telling you she doesn't want that. So there's a lot of things here that she knows would be putting pressure on her. You're not likely going to be happy with not having your own kids if you want them that much. And so she's probably thinking, why not just end this now? I can't give you what you need. You want kids. You shouldn't sacrifice having kids to be with me when I'm not even sure about this relationship. And you should get to a place within yourself where you're like, you know what? Those things are true. So I am going to think about those things, and I'm not going to be desperate to get you back. Or you're not going to say that, but you're not going to be desperate to get her back. And you're at a point where you're like, okay, well, there are pros and cons to being with this woman. And maybe you'll come to a place within yourself that you decide that you do want kids for yourself and not just, being a stepdad. So that could be a real deal breaker, right? Because you could break up one day and then you don't have any kids and you thought, oh, I really wish I had my own kids. So it's a lot to think about, but you definitely want to work on yourself here and work through these issues that I think are really having an impact on your behavior and losing emotional self-control. So really spend some time reflecting and growing and thinking about things and deciding if this is right for you. Leave her alone, let her miss you, and get some clarity on all the things that you brought into her life as well. Hopefully this one's been helpful to you. And of course, if you want to get my help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. You can get my workbooks there or my creative healing course. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.